Welcome back, everyone. We're jumping right into it today. Currently, I am trying to get prepared for next year's con season. I have not tabled at a con in some time. In fact, I've only tabled at a con once before, and it went pretty poorly. But we live and we learn. So I'm designing some merch to be selling at ZenkaiCon this coming spring. ZenkaiCon takes place pretty close to where I live, so it's an easy commute for me. So I'm really hoping to get that table this year. However, if for any reason it doesn't work out, I do also plan on reopening my shop, which hasn't been open for quite some time now. So today for merch, we are designing a sticker sheet. It is featuring Raturine and Dr. Ratio from Honkai Star Rail. I got into Star Rail while it was still in 1.0. I remember when it first came out, I was like, no way, I'm not playing another gacha game. I'm not getting into it. I'm not interested. But then I ran out of things to do in Genshin. I literally just had nothing left to do. All my quests were done and we were waiting for the next patch and I got bored. So I decided to start playing Honkai Star Rail after all. I think I lasted about 3 weeks. And as soon as I started playing, I immediately fell for Kafka. I'm honestly still obsessed with her. She's still my number one main. I play her all the time. But this one is not about Kafka. It is about Aventurine and Dr. Ratio. So, Aventurine and Dr. Ratio show up together for the first time during the Trailblazers' time on Penacony, which is a planet that is basically made up of a giant hotel where you can sleep in these dream pools and enter a dreamland. When Aventurine first showed up, I absolutely hated him. He was just so full of himself and he just gave me totally bad vibes. So after the patch that he first showed up in, I remember telling my sister how much I hated this guy. He was totally scummy and slimy and gross and I hated him. But then he interacted with Dr. Ratio for a while, and he also had a ton of backstory. I think his character writing is amazing. It honestly is what drew me in and made me totally obsessed with him. He's just such a deep character with a really intense backstory that's just so sad. And he really just made me feel things. So in the end, I ended up really loving him. And Dr. Ratio, despite being pretty critical of others, shows that he does kind of have a soft spot for Aventurine. And so after I played through, I guess it was probably 2.2 maybe, I went back to my sister and said, you know that guy that I told you I hated in Honkai Star Rail a whole lot and I didn't like him at all? And she was like, yeah, what did you do? I said, be really good and be half of my OTP and I love him now. So that didn't really last. That is just to show that he really does have really great character writing. So I think the Honkai Star Rail writers are really doing an amazing job. They always keep me really locked in, and I really enjoyed Penacony. To get into why that I really like Aventurine and Ratio, well, I'd probably have to get a little spoilery. But the biggest problem is it's been about a year since I played Penacony, so the details are kind of rusty. Aventurine was sort of a double agent, but he was working with Ratio to find information on the family, who was the overarching villain of sorts in this arc. And he used his cornerstone, which gives him really big powers, but he crushed it so that they couldn't find it and use it against him. And he ends up going through a pretty intense trial, but before he separates from Ratio for a while, Ratio, seeing that he's already pretty worn down, gives him this capsule of sorts and tells him to open it when he's on his last leg. Aventurine definitely thinks he's being looked down on a little and is rather resentful for that, but he still keeps it on him. He becomes a boss that the Trailblazer even fights against, and then he gets sent into nothingness, kind of. And it's at this point that Aventurine opens up the capsule from Ratio and it is a letter. And the last lines are, "Do stay safe. I wish you the best of luck." And I'll tell you right now, it may as well have said, "Don't die. I love you. XOXOXO. Heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji." Because I was absolutely, unstoppably in love with them at that point. There was no turning back. That was a love letter. He was in love with Aventurine. It was mutual. Aventurine found his way out of nothingness to get back to him, and now they live together happily ever after, and there's totally not a bunch of drama going on, and they're not able to see each other very often. So yeah, that was my first experience with Aventurine. Since then, there's just been little hints towards them, and honestly, I slurp up those crumbs like no one's business. I really look forward to the chance when they meet again in canon. I just dream of it. I just want them to be together again. They're just so cute. I can never stop thinking about them. Sorry, I kind of went a little crazy for a second there, huh? Now that I blabbed a little bit, or half the video away, about how much I love them and why, maybe I should talk about these stickers that I'm designing a bit. Of course, there's the three main ones featuring Aventurine and Dr. Ratio. One of them with Dr. Ratio holding Aventurine. One of them in the bath together, which we'll get back to in a minute. And one of them with Ratio drawing Aventurine on his chalkboard. Ratio is a professor. He is not a doctor, like a medical doctor, but he does have quite a few doctors. And he teaches students, and when they piss him off or say something stupid, he throws his chalk at their head, which is also one of his main weapons in the game. His weapons are his favorite book, chalk, and sometimes he drops giant pillars onto enemies. The one in the bathtub, Dr. Ratio often spends time in the bathtub to relax, and he has an ongoing theme of rubber duckies when he is bathing. This is likely a reference to the rubber duck technique, also known as a rubber duck debugging, which is a debugging method where a programmer explains their code or a problem to an inanimate object, such as a rubber duck, in details line by line. And by reciting these issues to the duck, they may come upon where they may have made a mistake and be able to fix it just by hearing themselves say it out loud. This is also why we have a rubber ducky up here in the top corner. The rubber ducky, of course, represents Dr. Ratio, while the pile of poker chips represents Aventurine. Aventurine is a gambler. He is blessed with luck, so much luck that he often gambles his own life, much to Dr. Ratio's dismay. So he's often featured with poker chips and has one that he often keeps on him and flips in his idle animations. This pile of critters over here in the right corner are cat cakes, also known as Ron May's creations. Ron May is a scientist and genius who is constantly trying to create new forms of life. And these little kitty cat cakes are one of her creations. However, she often shows no restraint in creating, but has no interest in caring for what she creates. So they often get abandoned. Aventurine, in one promotional video, is shown to actually have 3 pet kitty cakes. They're all the trash can variety. It's because they're based off the Trailblazer, and the Trailblazer loves trash. But anyway, he's shown to have 3 pet ones, and it's a common agreement amongst fans that Ratio probably gifted those to him, even though there's probably no canon material to prove that. But I love the idea, and those are his little babies, so of course I had to include them. Of the last couple small stickers, one is a die, because again, gambling items for the gambler. And it has Aventurine on one face, Dr. Ratio on the other, and one face is a big heart drawn with chalk to represent the both of them. And then the last one, with these little chibi Dr. Ratio and Aventurine, I'm referencing the Yapper and Listener meme that's popular on TikTok and other social media platforms, because Aventurine is definitely the Yapper. Very wappa dabba 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 wappa dabba dabba dabba. And Ratio's more the listener. So I just think it really suits them, and I'm really happy with how cute and silly they look. We're getting close to finishing up now, So now seems like a great time to remind you all, if you're enjoying my art or just listening to me blabber, or both, don't forget to subscribe. I was updating every week, but I have a full-time job again, so I'm trying to cut back to bi-weekly, but it'll be a little more casual in postings. I'd also really like to make a longer form video, maybe like a story time, but it'll take a lot of time to create, and I do have other projects I have to work on, so I can't guarantee that yet. However, please continue to look forward to my new works. I very much enjoy creating them, and I'm having a great time creating merch right now. If you might be going to ZenkaiCon this coming year, totally let me know in the comments. It'll be really great to meet people there, and I really want to take my hand at selling at conventions again. I know it's a big hurdle, and I've still got to get a lot of materials to get ready, but I do feel better prepared than I was the last time that I tabled at a convention. At this point in the creation, I was figuring out my background. I decided I wanted to do it like it was on a chalkboard, and I added some little sketches here and there to fill in the blank space. We have Dr. Ratio's Laurel. We have Dr. Ratio's favorite book, Aventurine's pre-mentioned coin, Aventurine's earring, and at the bottom is the capsule that Ratio gave to Aventurine. And we're just about done now. Let's do some close-ups of the stickers. I'm really happy with how this turned out and really looking forward to getting the sticker sheets created. I might be putting them up for pre-order in my shop prior to my convention, or I may be debuting them at the convention and then allowing them for purchase after. I haven't quite decided. If they do go up for pre-order, it would likely be in October with a release in January. If I decide to debut them at the convention, it would be, I believe, March of next year. So I'll definitely let you know once we get closer to that time. And I'm going to keep designing merch. Don't know what I'll be back with yet next time, but I'll see you then. Bye!